Hey everyone, welcome to Romance Book Monsters. It's your girl Lollipop here with Kitty Boo. And we are doing a Throwback Thursday for a book that we both love called Felix the Watcher by Blue Sapphire. It is part of a series of 8 books, because there's 8 brothers. I feel bad for their mama, because that's a lot of boys.
Right.
But it's part of a book series, and this is book 5. The whole series is complete now, so if you like this review that we do for this particular book, you love it, you want to check it out, definitely check out the series. I didn't read them in order. I read them based on the order of the description that I liked. Obviously, there is some information that's mentioned from previous relationships that have already happened in the book. So definitely, if you want it to flow the way the author intended, you read them in order. But I don't think it's necessary to do that. And they're all private investigators. Is it all of them or most of them? They all work for the dad, right?
Mm-hmm. They all work for the dad.
Yeah. So they have their own private investigation firm, and
they're Irish descent.
they were Irish, and and they had family who was part of the mafia. So there's a little bit hints of some mafia-esque things going on, but the family's not really involved in the mafia no more. But they still got that mafia tendencies. Don't you just love it? You love it when they're not in the mafia anymore, but they got that mafia hardness and the mafia tendencies. They're like, don't mess with
Right. And the connections is like on the outskirts of it.
Exactly. Like, we don't do the illegal stuff no more. We the legal business right now. We legal. We ain't illegal.
But my cousin can get rid of you.
We can get rid of that body. Let's call the cleaners. They call it the cleaners. Let's not forget that. They call them the cleaners. So a little bit about this book. It's a contemporary romance. So as we know, modern times. It's always good to switch it up. We love a good contemporary. It's a PK, otherwise known as Preacher's Kid. So the the heroine is a preacher's kid. She is of mixed heritage. Her mom is Jamaican and her dad is Samoan. So a great little mixture there going on. I personally am Jamaican, so I was feeling the food and everything that they were talking about. It was like, yes, this is what I eat. This is what I like. I understand. Yes, when they talking about letting out their belt because they cooking too good, they put their foot in it. They're like, I had
when the grandparents are going off in patois.
Exactly, grandparents going off in patois. I know that's right, because that's how we do. That is how we do in Jamaica. But yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed this book. The heroine is also a romance author, which is great. Got twists and turns, and I loved it all. So we're gonna kick off our likes and dislikes, and just, as you've known, give a rating, let you know how we feel about the book in general. As we already said, we love this book, so you already know it's a love it, otherwise known as love it or list it. We are not listing this book, we are loving it. And definitely link us up in the comments if you've read the book, if you've read the author, Blue Sapphire. Love her. We met her at an author event a few years ago in New Orleans.
Yes,
fabulous. And yes,
easy.
She has blue hair. It's amazing. Love Blue Sapphire. She was great author, really interesting person in general, great conversationalist. Highly recommend checking out her other book. You are invested in her stories for sure. So I'll kick it off with, my likes. I thought Kay and Felix had amazing chemistry. Like, even though they started off as friends, they always, how you grew up together. He was her brother's best friend. So they always had great chemistry, even from kids. And then obviously, they didn't jump into a relationship with what happened with her, her brother being bisexual, she being the brother's boyfriend's beard, the brother getting, and they like to share. Let's not forget, they like to share the women. So basically the premise is, her brother knocked up one of the women that they shared, and she was going to pretend they asked her to pretend that the kid was hers. So the girl used her name and her insurance and gave birth. The brother and her beard boyfriend ended up dying in an automobile accident, and she decided to raise her brother's child. she had already left home at this point. Her father basically kicked her out the house because she was pregnant. We had this discussion, Kitty Boom and I, we were talking about, I understand she's a preacher's kid, and I understand that, in his mind, she was pregnant out of wedlock, but she was already finished college. This was not a teenager.
So grown.
This was not a 16 or 17-year-old, but you gonna, quote unquote, throw her out the family, throw her out the house? Makes no sense. So her brother had put her up in a apartment in New York and then ended up passing away. Felix, so she sneakily came to the brother's funeral. Felix saw her, followed her, found out about the baby, and of course decided to move them into, because he always had a thing for her, but she was his best friend's sister. Moved her into a better apartment, got his family involved, to the Irish cousins who were, mob adjacent, we will call them mob adjacent, mafia adjacent, and, get her situated so that she could focus on her writing and taking care of, her son, because basically he was her son. That's what the birth certificate said. And so she had a part-time job. She was able to, start working on her books. She met, some great friend authors, et cetera, et cetera. And again, this is a romance novel. They do end up together, but there's some twists and turns and some spin-arounds and some roundabouts. It took a while for them to become a couple, but you felt the tension. The story was well written. I personally thought the book was, a little steamy, a little hot.
Oh, very much so.
Really enjoy, as I said, great chemistry, great. The author put her foot in some of these sex scenes. I loved it. Kay being a romance novel author was, close to my heart. I love my romance authors. They are amazing. I would also say one of my likes was that this was a BDSM light. I haven't read anything recently with any BDSM elements out. Oh, Goldie and the Three Bears had a hint, a little smidgen, little touch. But this one really was a little bit further into that BDSM, but I would definitely say it's still light. It wasn't like, this was not a BDSM book.
Right.
It's not a BDSM romance. There were some elements. It made the sex scenes a little bit spicy. Obviously every book has to have a villain, right? And this villain in this book was also one of my favorite characters because she was crazy. Bonnie was nuts. Bonnie, I don't even know how she justified things in her head. Bonnie was a talker. She loved to talk people's business. She was a pathological liar. She was a psychopath. She was everything and above, and I loved it. And then, of course, the story was fast-paced and sucks you in. So, there's so many likes, but, obviously, I'm going to give Kitty Boom a chance to talk about her likes, and we could get it going.
This book, I've read the majority of the books in this series, except I have the last two to finish because the last book was recently released. But I must say that Felix's story is my favorite in the line. And oh my gosh, Felix is just one of my top book heroes out of all the books that I have read. And that is saying something. Felix was amazing as a character. You could create a future mate list from Felix's characteristics in the
100%. I was like, where do I find me a Felix? And
where do I find him? I was if I ever call you and I'm I found my Felix, we got to get a rope and figure out how to reel him on in.
Right? Supportive, caring, loving, self-sacrificing.
Oh gosh. He was so awesome. And just like you said, there were so many great scenes in the book. I think my first favorite scene was when they hooked up for the first time and she's trying to finish her first romance novel. And, she's a virgin, so she can't get the sex scenes right in the book. And he's well, I'll be your guinea pig. And from there on is when their relationship starts off. And I in some books when they start the sex for random reasons, whether it's just, to hook up or likes the other person. Sometimes they don't communicate that, but he like let it be known like from the beginning, like, okay, we're doing this and like I'm serious about you. I really like you. We're gonna be together from this point on. And I like how it's just straightforward, no guessing, no trying to figure it out. He was like, this is what it is.
Right. We're a
I
couple.
really like appreciated that. So he was like great with the communication. Like there was not a whole lot of room to be like unsure of Felix's intentions.
Right.
So that I really like. And the father, again, she was a preacher's kid. So when the father assumed that she had a baby, like he like completely rejected her out of the family. And again, it was very ridiculous, her being a grown woman being treated like that. But he redeems himself like later on in the book. Like she goes to his church and he does a sermon from the pulpit. He like says like how wrong he was for making the assumption and how wrong he was for how he was trying to control how her and her brother's lives was meant to be. And it was just like so touching. I think I cried. I tell you, I'm getting old. I'm starting to cry at books and Hallmark movies. It's crazy.
Right? Right?
You've been sitting there with the tissues like, oh my gosh, the poor girl.
I tell you, Hallmark movies are like Silhouette and Harlequin novels.
Yeah.
That's about as spicy as they get. But I am there because it's like literally a romance novel. This is how these romance novels were written. They're Silhouette and Harlequin. They're not the Desire though, because Desire is steamy. But they're the normal, they're the presents. I would call them
the little cute, light love stories.
Because all they do
is you're sitting there getting emotional. It's like, oh, they die. Let me get my tissues out. And then my next favorite scene, like, again, like Felix and his family, they're all in like the personal security business. And one of their clients like comes back to try to kill him. Okay, so yeah, he found out that the stepdaughter and the husband of one of his clients had stolen millions of dollars from the client. And so I guess they were on the run and they wanted him to stop looking for them. So they paid somebody to go and kill him. So once he like figures this out, like he was so ticked off. And so they like found where they live and they had like filled their pool, the swimming pool in the back of the house with piranhas. And then he like cuts the husband and throws him in there. And then he throws the wife in there. And then like the piranhas just, they eat him.
Did they? And then they called the cleaners.
And they called the cleaners to come and clean out the swimming pool and like get rid of whatever was left. I mean, like how bad was that?
But how messed up was the stepdaughter though? He's been in her life since she was
a baby.
A toddler, yeah. She only known him, but she stole from him
money that was not hers, that she was not, entitled to. Yeah.
Just a mess.
What's crazy was the father wouldn't have even have found out, but she got mad at the husband and told the father that the husband was stealing money.
Right? But to take her name off of one of the accounts, which Felix had in the back of his mind that something wasn't right, but he didn't even think too crazy about it because he was so busy with Kay and baby and traveling back and forth. And she was in New York and he was in California and all of that stuff. So it like fell in the back of his mind. So if they had not sent somebody off to kill him, they would have got away. Because they weren't even looking for them anymore. And it was the stepfather that tipped them off.
Not only that, remember they had got away with $50 million and they blew it all.
Now, how do you blow through $50 million?
$50 million, yes.
That's rich people problems right there. Rich people problems.
Yeah.
So anything else on your likes list, Kitty Boom?
I definitely like the villain in the book, Bonnie. Bonnie was crazy, very, very Stephen King, Dolores Claiborne going on. Was that it? The one, Dolores Claiborne, where she had the author like stuck in her cabin in the woods?
I think so.
Trying to make her rewrite the book.
I think so, yeah.
I think that was Dolores Claiborne. She broke his legs down.
Mm-hmm.
That was Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie was nuts.
Spreading rumors, talking author's business, having multiple accounts. Like, how you gonna be like, oh, she gonna need an assistant. Let me move to California because she gonna hire me. Oh, and by the way, I need some place to live. So let me stalk someone, murder her, throw her in the closet, and take her life. Oh,
Right. But you know, she did something that was just like, I think everybody knows a person like this. So she thinks Kay is upset with her. And Kay like puts like a random Facebook post up that had nothing to do with her, but she took it so personal.
right? Why are you putting our business on the street?
Right.
You ain't even concerned about her.
And you see people do that all the time on social media when people are putting up forwarding these random like quote passages that they found, and the people in their lives sometimes just take it so like completely serious, like it's crazy.
You ain't lying. I think part of it is hit dog gonna holler.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know you did somebody dirty, even when that person ain't even thinking about you because they done moved on with their lives and they're doing what they have to do for themselves, everything is about you because a hit dog gonna holler.
Yeah.
And all right. Well, I'll kick it off. My one dislike, because I love this book. I did find a few typos, and typos tend to like knock me out of the story. It wasn't egregious or anything like that. It really was a few, but it was enough for me to note it after the second time.
Mm-hmm.
So again, way more pros than cons here. That was my only thing that knocked me out of the story. Other than that, I loved it. As we said earlier, I need me a Felix in my life.
Yes.
And only thing that would be better than one Felix is two, but I would be in heaven. All right, Kitty Boom, anything that stood out to you as a dislike, or are you also on that?
Actually don't have a dislike for this book. I mean, the book was very good, beginning to end. The fairy tale proposal at the end of the book, beautiful. It's like, oh my gosh, where's this man that will know me so well that he can get it that right for the proposal?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I actually had no complaints about this book.
Loved her so
5 stars for me with this book.
I gave it 4 because of the typos. I'm not gonna lie, maybe 4.5. I'll give it. Listen, typos bother me. So I'll give it a 4.5. I'll give it a half star for type. I'll take away a half a star for typos.
I'm fighting for your stars, Blue.
All right. You convinced me. 4.5 stars.
Okay.
The typos. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think Blue Sapphire did a great job. As we already discussed, book boyfriend here, book husband, book baby daddy, book side piece. Felix is everything.
Felix is nobody's side piece. If you make him your side piece, you have no sense.
He the main piece. And
He's the main piece.
He the whole meal. The whole meal. Felix is the whole meal. So anyway, this is our review of Felix the Watcher. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. We are here. We release new videos on a regular basis. Again, this is Lollipop, my girl Kitty Boom. Keep a lookout for our upcoming videos. And also comment in below any books you'd like us to review, any books you'd like us to read, any books you'd like to share with the community.
Have you read this book?
Let us know. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.